everybody. Welcome back to Ghosting with Anya. I'm your host, Anya Smith, and thanks for subscribing. Thanks for clicking like and share. So, on today's episode, we are doing the River Motel Ice Machine. This is a new story. So I'm also the author of Anya's Ghost Stories Volume 1 and Volume 2, The Return of the Dead. And my co-host is right behind me, Christopher Stephen Dady.
Yes, he is.
So, anyway, we pretty much didn't do anything today. So Chris had to go to church, then go to his friend's house and pick up the movie. Also, he had lunch. I was just relaxing, crocheting my blanket. I'm still working on it. It just changed colors because I took both tails and started wrapping around and tied them together in both knots and bunch of knots. Same thing with another one. So anyway, but yeah, I'm literally crocheting a blanket that can be a lot bigger and wider. Maybe it's probably might be big enough for 2 people. So that is why I'm making it. So, but anyway, also went to, Baker's to get whatever I needed. So, then we came home, watched a movie while I'm working on the blanket. So it's Father's Day today. So happy Father's Day from all over the world. So I wish
next week.
No, you said it was today.
No, I found out it was next week. I misspoke.
Well, still, I wished my father a happy Father's Day anyway. So, I'm guessing it's Father's Day actually, you guys, is the 21st, I think. Isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, you guys, the actual day of Father's Day is actually on June 21st, where half moon shows up, like the darker kind, and there's the lighter kind. It's kind of like yin and yang. So more like Dalmatian. But anyway, I thought today was Father's Day, so I just decided to wish my father a happy Father's Day, my real dad. So I will also wish happy Father's Day to my other father, Sergey M. He raised me like I was his own daughter, so that is why. Anyway, everything's all good. So we are going to read the new story called The River Motel Ice Machine. It's kind of weird, but But anyway, I hope you guys are ready. So tomorrow, hopefully that I'm going to go to the library and finish reading my book. I'm still reading Stephen King. It's just going to take me a while, just like with other book that took me years to read it. It's Lord of the Rings, The Two Towers. That took me a while as well. So anyway, thanks for your support. It's 8:36, so it doesn't matter if I go to live stream on YouTube every night. I can do 9 p.m., 10 p.m., doesn't matter, but it's usually 8, but I can do it a little after 8. So Anyway, thank you guys for being here, and let's get started on the story. So, please click like, share, and subscribe, and let's get the story going. If you have any questions about it, you can join me on live stream. You can leave me comments down below if you wish to. So, anyway, I hope you guys are ready. So, anyway, let's get started. This is going to be so much fun. Anyway, let's get started. Episode 164 of season 5 of Ghosting with Anya, The River Motel Ice Machine. So let's get started. Tess stopped at the River Motel because the highway was icing over the next town was too far, and the glowing vacancy sign promised the kind of mediocre shelter exhausted drivers stop expecting to judge. The motel sat near the river at the edge of a serving road, a long, low strip of rooms with outside doors and a lobby that smelled faintly of lemon cleaner and damp carpet. The clerk gave her room 12 and a plastic key tag shaped like a trout. Nothing about the place seemed memorable, except the ice machine outside her room, which groaned periodically as if struggling with old machinery and colder weather. Tess showered, called her sister, and tried to ignore the discomfort of being alone in one of those motels where every sound seemed shared through concrete and plumbing at 1:03 a.m. The ice machine began dispensing ice into its empty bin by itself. Something tells me that there is a ghost messing with all the ice machines, dispensers, and she feels like she's being watched, and the spirit inside the motel is probably watching Tess, and she feels like she's not alone. Well, she might be right. So anyway, if this makes you feel comfortable, just let me know in the comments down below, and we'll figure something out. So anyway, let's continue on the story. She heard the clatter through the curtains and assumed some traveler was filling a bucket late, but the sound went on too long, steady, hard, and excessive. Irritated, Tess pulled the curtains aside and found no one there. The machine door hung open, and cubes dropped in continuous white bursts into the tray below. The lot was empty, except for her rental car and one pickup farther down. She called the front desk, no answer. By the time she opened her room door and stepped outside in socks and a sweatshirt, the machine had gone silent. The tray beneath it was full. Beside the spill of half-melted ice lay a child's red mitten. Tess stared at it long enough to feel ridiculous. Then a woman's voice somewhere down the walkway asked, "Did he need more?" Tess turned toward the voice and saw a woman standing under the weak yellow light near the motel stairs. She wore a winter coat over a nightgown, which should have looked absurd, but instead looked exactly right for someone who had stepped out in alarm rather than dressing properly first. Her hair was loose, and her face carried the blank intensity of a person already deep into an emergency. What? Tess said. Too sharply, the woman took one step forward for the fever she had. She said, "The cloth keeps warming." Before Tess could answer, a car passed on the service road beyond the motel headlights, washing the lot for half a second. When the light moved on, the woman was gone. So was the mitten. The next morning, Tess nearly left without mentioning any of it. Curiosity, however, has a way of surviving embarrassment. She asked the morning clerk whether the ice machine outside room 12 often malfunctioned at night. The clerk, a man in his 60s with a permanently tired expression, paused long enough to confirm the story mattered. Before answering, he said that years earlier, a family had stayed in room 12 during a summer river festival when nearby hotels were full. Their youngest boy came down with a sudden high fever overnight. The mother kept making trips to the ice machine for cool compresses while the father drove to find an open pharmacy. There was flooding on the back road. Then an accident at the bridge. No one agreed on the exact timing, only that help came too slowly and the child did not survive the night. Some guests hear the ice machine run by itself when storms are near. He said mostly if they stay in 12. Well, I guess that the little boy somehow passed away from a fever many years ago. So that is so sad. A family that stayed in room 12 somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And somehow the child, I don't know, passed away. And, well, the child literally tried to feel better, but the mother has tried putting ice to make the fever break, but somehow it never worked. And they tried to go to pharmacy to get medicine for this child, but they had an accident and the family never survived. The child passed away from an accident. So anyway, I feel so sad about this, and I hope that the family cannot stay bound to that room 12, and maybe I hope that they found peace, and maybe hopefully they found help somehow. Perhaps maybe Tess could help them find their way out and figured out what really happened that night in the wintertime. especially in the very icy storm weather days. So, anyway, let's continue on. That evening, freezing rain trapped Tess there a second night she had not planned for. She switched rooms at first, then switched back after a plumbing issue left the other one unheated. The clerk apologized in the resigned tone of a man who knew this would not improve anything. Tess told herself that having the story now would make the fear more manageable because at least it had shape. Instead, the shape made every sound heavier. At 12:52, the machine groaned once. At 1:03, it began dispensing ice again. This time Tess did not wait for voices. She grabbed a towel and went outside. The tray overflowed in white chunks onto the wet concrete. Room 12's curtain reflected in the machine's scratched metal was no longer her room's curtain, but one from another decade behind it. Through the reflection, only she could see a woman kneeling beside a bed, pressing a cloth to a child's forehead while looking desperately toward the door. The motel walkway seemed too narrow around the machine. The air smelled briefly of menthol, rub, and river water. Tess did the only useful thing she could think of. She wrapped ice in the towel and set it down gently by the door of room 12 as if making a delivery nobody had managed correctly the first time. The hallway light flickered. Somewhere nearby a child whimpered once, not loudly, but with the exhausted confusion of illness. Then the door to room 12, which she knew was locked and empty because she was standing in front of it, opened inward by a few inches. A woman's hand appeared, pale and trembling, and pulled the towel inside. Tess stood frozen. From within the room came a voice, choked with relief. Thank God. Then the door closed again. Well, I'm guessing Tess probably did the right thing to help the family, who has no idea that they are dead. The mother, the father, a little boy, perhaps. Maybe this child was about 6 years old. I don't really know. I guess we'll have to find out more about this as I'm reading this story. I hope you guys, know this. If this makes any sense to you guys, let me know in the comments down below, and we will literally figure it out somehow. Anyway, it's almost 9. It's like 8:51 p.m. and I gotta finish making this blanket so I can use it every month when there's a new movie coming out. And I got the notification about really good movie that's coming out soon. If you guys know that Luke Evans is the actor who played a lot of movies like The Hobbit, which is like the Lord of the Rings trilogy. He also played Vlad the Impaler on vampire movie, like Dracula Untold, which is the first one. And the second one is already coming out sometime this year, but we don't know what month. But we'll have to figure it out. A lot of ghosts can be overwhelming and scary, and there's like a lot of paranormal shit going on. I mean, I've seen a lot of ghost movies, TV series, like documentary about these spirits, especially the history of Scotland, history of Ireland, like all paranormal stuff, especially on Tubi channel. They've got a lot of ghost stories going on. And this story, like all the stories I have read for the past year, can be related to real life events. So let me know if you think this can be very scary to you all. If it's not for you, then you might want to go to a different podcast. Maybe this channel is not for all of you guys. That's okay. You guys can check out my producer's podcast. He's got two. The other one. Okay, so my producer has a podcast called Ask Fearless. And he talks about what he's gone through and talks about other things, especially like whatever he talks about, like say president stuff or sports, or he gives out people's advice, like with life and thing, He's like a life coach. This is what he does. And he wants to be a philosophist or whatever. But so he talks about going back to school. So you guys can check out his podcast called Ask Fearless on YouTube. Also, second, he has another podcast that he has. It's called Read with Fearless, which means that he does podcast about books, and like he reads books and he talks about it, and depends how he likes the kind of genre, what he thinks about it, and he would talk about it with all of you guys and asks any questions if you guys like those type of genres of the books. I like paranormal stuff, romance, also comedy. I also like fairy tales. So, but mostly paranormal stuff. But that's exactly what I like. So I read a lot of paranormal stuff. I have read fairy tales as a child, and I played one, I guess, as a kid. But that was a long time ago. But anyway, if you like paranormal podcasting, my channel is right here for you on live stream. So let me know what you think of this story once we're finished. You guys can leave me comments down below. If you have any questions about it, all you gotta do is just let me know what you think. And right after this story, there's gonna be Q&A. Always, every night. When I do stories, there is also gonna be questions and answers. So anyway, let's continue on the story. We are in 24 minutes. The next morning, the towel was folded neatly outside her current room, dry and clean, with the red mitten placed on top. Tess took both to the front desk. The clerk looked at the mitten a long time before saying it. matched what older staff had described, but never actually found. He asked whether she wanted to keep it. She said no too quickly. He smiled sadly and put it in the lost and found drawer no one ever opened. When Tess checked out, she noticed the ice machine sat unplugged, its service panel hanging open because, according to maintenance notes taped to the side, it no longer had power at all. She did not tell the clerk that it had made ice half the night. Some people in such places survive by leaving certain impossibilities undocumented. Years later, when Tess drives in winter, she carries a spare small cooler in the back seat with ice packed and bottled water, not because she expects ghosts, but because that motel taught her something uncomfortable about emergency delay is its own weather. She still thinks of the woman in the coat not as a haunting presence, but as a mother trapped in the narrow corridor between doing everything possible and knowing it is not enough. The River Motel probably still rents room 12 to strangers in bad weather. The machine may still rattle to life when storms push people into unwanted waiting. Tess hopes, without any reason beyond instinct, that someone always takes the ice to the door. Wow. That is very interesting story. Apparently, a mother and a father has lost their only child who had a fever. I don't know. It was like almost 103 degrees, especially in the winter storm. And it's just so sad and depressing. I mean, at least they try to get help and get some ice. Apparently, Tess finally noticed and they finally got what they wanted when they were alive. So they died of a broken heart because they lost a child. They went crazy, apparently, and then the accident happened. So I hope that Tess literally did help the spirits find their way to heaven. So anyway, the story's finally done, and now we'll be doing questions. So we only have 10 questions and also 10 answers. I hope you guys are ready for it. Are you brave enough to help me get these answers? Let me know in the comments down below, and we'll try to figure out how to help this family find their way to heaven or something like that. Let's get started. Would you have stepped outside after the ice machine started on its own? Yes, of course we would. If I were Tess staying at that weird river motel with ice dispenser machine, I would definitely investigate it. I mean, I would try and figure out how to communicate with these spirits. If I hear a child coughing and having this horrible fever, I mean, if I saw this, a mother and a father trying to figure out how to help their own child to break the fever, here's what I would do. I would take a towel and a giant bucket with ice in it. And I would go back into the room and still see the spirits. I would give them ice. I would just put it on the table and let the spirits take the bucket with water, maybe, and a towel. And they would put ice in it, and they would literally put it on the child's face to help them feel better. I would definitely do that. So, I mean, same question for you, Bubba.
Okay.
Would you have stepped outside after the ice machine started on its own?
Yes.
Would you end up helping the spirits get the fever broken?
Yes.
Would you give them any ice with water bucket?
Sure.
There you have it, folks. My husband would do the exact same thing. So, do you think Tess did the right thing about it? Let me know in the comments if you think that Tess did the right thing. I probably think she did the right thing. Let's go to number 2. What do you think the red mitten symbolized in the story? Well, for me, I think that the red mitten somehow maybe belonged to this child somehow, and this little child was sick with the fever, and the parents were trying to find help and trying to keep their son warm as possible, and used ice cold ice chips and to break the fever. Apparently the child never regained consciousness. So it probably symbolizes that this spirit of a child was looking for his mitten, perhaps, or, well, actually it just belongs to a little child. The parents were trying to protect their child from the accident, but the father lost control, and the roads got so icy, and the kid somehow died. So the mother tried everything to help their son break the fever, but they failed, so they both died from the accident. The child never regained any consciousness. But I mean, if I were that child's mother, I would figure out a way to help my baby to break the fever, call help. Like in modern days, I would call the doctor, and the doctor would try and come as fast as he can to come to our house and save our child's life, instead of taking it so long, and our kid would be like losing his life, his or hers. But still, I would probably use a towel and some ice chips, like especially the crushed ones. Maybe it would help our kid. I mean, we would do the same thing. The mitten is actually belonged to an infant or whatever, or a 6-year-old child. I don't know how the family lived like this in the past, like decades ago. If I were Tess, I would definitely notice the family and try my best to help them instead of ignoring them. That's exactly what we would have done. Let's go to number 3. This is probably just a memory, apparently. They're reliving their final moments, and they relive their deaths over and over. It's like a time loop that they cannot get out of. literally. Why do motels and roadside places create strong haunting atmospheres? That's a good question. It probably they have a lot of memories, final moments. They relive their final moment when they were trying to save their child from a fever and trying to find the doctors, trying to go to a pharmacy, and the pharmacy is like closed because of the storm, and then the accident happens, and they were living their final moments when they were dying. And apparently there's no other way to figure out how to get help. So when Tess came along, the spirits finally got what they wanted. Tess noticed, she tried to ignore it, but never ever wanted to do anything about it. But what she finally noticed, and she finally did what she had to do, the unthinkable thing, help the spirits save their child's life. So I think that is definitely a memory, and it's a history that's been happening for decades, probably more than decades. I think it's been like centuries. I feel like that's what it was. So it could be a strong haunting, but not violent way. But I think they were trying to find help. They want to get noticed, memorized, apparently, acknowledged. They were asking for help. They just didn't know how to communicate with the living well until Tess came along, but they finally got what they wanted. Let's go to number 4. Was Tess right to bring the ice to room 12? Yes, of course she did. If she hadn't, the spirits would continue being trapped in spirit world, reliving their deaths and losing their child all over again. Every time that shit happens, like every year, they relive their moments. But finally, they found another way. So they communicated with Tess, and when Tess saw the whole thing, she felt bad and sad for the kid who died and for the parents. So she did the unthinkable thing, gave ice to the family in room 12. Hopefully they found a way to cheat death. So hopefully they did, and they found their way out, and then they can move on into the afterlife. So my answer is that yes, she did the right thing. Let's go to number 5. Okay, guys, we are 5 questions. That's how much we have left now. It is 9:11. It's like 11 minutes after 9, and we are in 39 minutes. So we're almost done here, guys. What was more unsettling? The reflected room, the voice, or the opening door? I think it was the reflected room and the voice. So I think that when Tess was like, when she got out of the shower and then tried to get ready for something, whatever, get ready for bed, when she was talking to her sister on the phone, and then something eerie happened. She started hearing voices. Perhaps maybe Tess was chosen, I don't know, to help the spirits. They were trying to communicate with her. They were asking her for help. She knew that something wasn't right in her room 12, and she just couldn't do it anymore. But she could not ignore it. She finally understood what was going on in room 12. She spoke to the clerk, and the clerk finally told her the truth about room 12, about a family that stayed in that same room, and the storm went bad. The child was sick, and they were trying to figure out how to help their son feel better. But then the accident happened. The child passed away, and they got so depressed and devastated. Maybe they died of a broken heart, or they killed themselves after they lost their own child. So maybe they all passed away that same night in a winter storm, and now they're trapped in that motel. They can't get out, so they are reliving their final moments. This is why Tess was hearing the voices, seeing something, and this is why she was chosen, because they knew that she might be the right person for help. So I think it's the reflected room and the voice, like calling out for help so their son could get better. All right, let's go to number 6. Do you think she changed the haunting in a way, in like any way? Yes, she did. She helped the spirits, and finally the family changed their ways of haunting the place. They finally moved on. They were happy when they finally got what they wanted. So they decided that they're no longer trapped. They thanked Tess, and they moved on finally. So this is what they did. All right, let's go to number 7. Why are caregiving emergencies so emotionally powerful in ghost stories? Well, that's easy, probably. And that's a good question, you guys. I think that it's a memory that Tess finally understood what was happening. So she did the unthinkable thing, and she helped them, and she felt happy, and even though she was sad what was going on, and she wasn't scared. She was brave enough to do what she had to do. And the family, the spirits, they felt happy again, like they wanted to be remembered. So it's emotional. No wonder why. But Tess, she's brave and caregiving. She cared about everything. So this is what she did. She helped, and I'm so glad the family finally got some ice for their baby. But I think it was an amazing thing. It can be emotional. It's probably because they're happy that the family finally got recognition and finally got some help. I don't know how to explain it, but I don't have any words for it, but I'm glad they did. And I'm glad they finally moved on into the afterlife. They can finally have some peace. Let's go to number 8. Would you stay the second night after learning the story? Yes, of course. If I knew what was going on, I would definitely investigate it, try to get my evidence, and try and communicate with the spirits and help them find peace, find a way for them find a way out for them so they can move on, change everything, release them from being trapped for so long, help them find help, and so they can go into the light and get some rest or whatever. They can just find peace, and they would like thank me with a smile and wave, and they would say they're going to be all right. They can watch over whoever goes into that next room or whatever. The next person that stays in room 12, they're going to make sure they're not going to scare any living people. So what Tess learned, she was brave enough to know what was going on. She was brave enough to help the spirits. And I'm proud of her for doing that. This can be actually related to real life events that's been happening. So anyway, we got 2 questions left before I sign off. Is the haunting about grief, failure, or unfinished care? I think it's about grief and unfinished caring. It's not a failure. The parents failed to save their child. The reason why is because the reason why they were grieving is because they kept trying to figure out a way to save their baby, but they kept failing. So they were trying to get someone to notice them, but that never happened. So the pharmacy was closed at winter time because of the storm going on, and the parents, they died with their child during the car accident. So it's grief and unfinished care. So Tess did the right thing and helped them. So it was definitely grief. All right, let's go to a last question. If you had the chance to help in a repeated past emergency, would you? Yes. Of course I would. I would go back in time and stop the car from having an accident. I would go to the ice machine dispenser and give them ice, give them fresh water, and give them like a bucket or something, and help the family break the fever. So I definitely would, if I went back in time, to help them, tell them what's happening, literally, and everything would be fine. They would still be alive, and their child would grow up to be an amazing person, like an amazing adult. Literally, he would grow up to be an adventurer, whatever he would be, a scholar or something, or whatever their kid would be. So yes. Okay, guys, we are out of time. So thank you guys for listening and almost participating on that. So tomorrow we'll be doing the episode 165. It is called The Portrait in the Upstairs Hall. This is the new one. So it's going to be at the same time as always. And if you have any opinions, if you guys have any questions, if you have any experience with any of the paranormal activity, if you think these stories are actually related, let me know. Other than that, thank you guys for listening and watching this video. Please click like, share, and subscribe. And I just want to make sure you guys are staying safe and be brave. If you have any questions, let me know. Anyways, just stay safe and have fun. Stay spooky. May God bless you. Do what you gotta do. So, anyway, good night, and we'll see you all tomorrow on Ghosting with Anya on episode 165. Please click like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys. Good night. Bye.
Bye.